This episode of Star Trek Enterprise is probably my favorite episode of Season 1. There were other really great episodes like the Andorian Incident and Fallen Hero. The Shadows of Pajem kind of follows up the Andorian Incident. Those are some really great episodes for Season 1. But Shuttlepod 1 as an episode itself, with its incredibly simplistic plot, and it's such a deep character story, and I think that's what I like about it most.
I'm an engineer. I won't blow up our only engine.
Then I'll ask you again. Ever hold your breath for 11 hours?
So as the episode begins, we're introduced to Trip and Malcolm, alone on a shuttle pod, and in this episode they were testing some sort of element on the shuttle pod, weapons I think it was, and they encounter some sort of anomaly and their sensor array goes offline.
This sensor array is more than offline, it's totally fried.
Most of this actually happens off camera, so we don't actually see any of the weapons tests or anything like that. We're seeing the shuttle pod come back to kind of rendezvous with Enterprise, and Enterprise isn't there. It's around here when Trip and Malcolm kind of discover a debris cloud across the surface of an asteroid in the asteroid belt they're in.
There, slow down.
That brings me to the one negative of the episode, which is very early on, like right after the opening credits, we see that Enterprise is fine. And this really kind of takes away from the dramatic element of the episode, because in the story, we kind of would feel a greater connection with them if we did know whether or not Enterprise was okay or not. It would create more suspense and more drama. It's obvious why they did it, because clearly they're not going to, 16 episodes into the series, kill off all the main characters. That won't happen.
Who's in charge of engineering while Trip's away?
Lieutenant Hess.
Tell her to get a team working on a new starboard door for Launch Bay 2.
Especially that early on in the episode, because then everything that Trip and Malcolm go through really doesn't mean much.
Which way? Which way to what? Echo 3. Which way to Echo 3?
I told you it's too far.
Do you know which direction it is or don't you?
Navigation is down.
That's not what I asked you.
Yeah, there's some really great moments in this episode. The conversations that Trip and Malcolm have over all the letters that Malcolm's writing to all of his ex-girlfriends, to them finding the bourbon and having dinner. The mashed potatoes to fix the hole in the shuttle pod. It's a little far-fetched, but it's still a fun episode.
And you came close to criticizing my choice of cuisine.
Even with all its negatives, it still has a lot of great elements in it, and it's a fantastic character episode, especially for Trip and Malcolm, who are two of my favorite characters of the entire series. So to have the character development that these two go through in this episode is just really phenomenal. I highly recommend this episode if you're just kind of getting into Enterprise and you're starting from Season 1. And you're not really convinced yet. That episode really kind of puts it over the top for me.
So what are you saying? That you'd rather have Enterprise burn the two of us dead in here?
That's exactly what I'm saying. If there's one chance in 1,000 that they saw our impulse drive explode, that they increased their speed, I'll take that chance.
Again, it's a really great episode. Even with all its negatives, there's still a lot of positives in it. I highly recommend this episode as being one of the better of Season 1, and definitely one of the best in the series. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. Star Trek Enterprise, Episode 16, Shuttlepod 1. Thanks for watching.